What's up, YouTube? So I wasn't expecting to be doing this stream as soon as this, but I wanted to talk to you guys really quickly about link summoning and and my thoughts on it. Now, I want to thank the group True Yu-Gi-Oh for helping me comprise my thoughts on link summoning. They have been a big help, and as someone who I didn't really know how to put it into words, it really helped me out that they had some interesting viewpoints on Master Rule 4 as a whole and link summoning in general. So I'm going to be using some of their thoughts as my personal opinion, because a lot of their opinions I do agree with, and I will use only information that I 100% agree with. Now, first off, I am impartial to link summoning. It's fine, it's an okay thing for the meta, but do I see it as necessary? No. Now, as someone who has spent several hours trying to find a way around not having to link summon, trust me, your better option is to just link summon. Decks become a lot easier with link summoning in Master Rule 4. In all honesty, don't take it as Konami telling you to go fuck yourself. That's the biggest thing. I've had a lot of people explain that they don't like link summoning because it feels kind of like a slap in the face. And don't get me wrong, I can see where that's coming from. But when it comes to Rockets or just any of the modern decks that are coming out that are extremely link focused, if you're opposed to link summoning, you can't run any modern decks, no matter how cool they look, no matter how fun the gimmicks are. If you're opposed to links, you can't play anything modern. Trickstars, Guard Dragons, the reason I'm saying Guard Dragons is because Guard Dragons run in everything. Thunder Dragon, there's just, you can't run any decks without link anymore. That's not how, like, I get that you want to avoid specific things, but Konami adds these things to make the game either more interesting, add extra layers, make it more complex. And keep in mind that I would rather have link summoning over a set rotation. So for those who don't know, set rotation is something that a lot of other card games do. It's where sets leave the meta, and what's left is the things prior to that. Well, or after that. So every time a new set comes out, another set leaves the current meta, and that causes you to constantly be updating your deck, which I guess if Yu-Gi-Oh did this wouldn't be a bad thing, because even people like me constantly are updating their decks. But for the older players, I think that's kind of what sets a lot of them off, is because set rotation is not in the game, so they're able to play whatever they want. And that's where things start becoming more problematic, because then you have to follow you not only are forced to have to play more modern cards to be able to keep up, but then they complain because they can't win duels because they're outmatched. And power creep is a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's the reason that, in all honesty, if you want to look at it technically, set rotation is not a bad thing. And that's because it makes decks that are power crept out no longer being in the meta, which makes the game a little less tier list based and more skill based, and a little bit of luck involved. And this is kind of a really, really interesting topic. On top of that, I'm really, really excited about rockets. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not really a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains or Link summoning in general, but I've slowly been playing around with a lot of the meta decks recently, and I liked Salamangreat. Not because it was a Link spam deck, but because it tried its best to incorporate some sort of extra deck kind of cheese plays with XZs. And this is the interesting thing about me. So I really like XZs and synchro plays. I think Savage Dragon's really cool, and us getting a fusion card, which is my favorite, will. I hear my cats outside. I think getting a fusion card will make things a lot more fun. On top of that, with a fusion card that can be considered to be a destruction card as well for your cards. And this is going to be more relevant when I talk about Odd Eyes, because Absolute, when it's destroyed, brings Vortex. And if it's not destroyed, you don't get that. And that's where kind of Zark kind of lacks, because a lot of times I see myself more or less using that over any other card in my deck for Zark, and that's kind of a problem. So, on top of that, I've kind of found my favorite type of Link monster, which is Topologics. And it's because Topologics are not really super gimmicky, and they're just fun to kind of splash in the deck and see what happens. Bomber Dragon's probably my favorite art of the Topologic so far. I really like the new Rocket Topologic or Topologic monster that's coming in the Rocket structure decks in Japan. It looks really, really nice. And if we get that over here in the West, that would be awesome. I also wouldn't mind if, because I know for a fact we're getting Borreload. That is confirmed. And honestly, the deck's going to be really, really fun, because it's one of those decks that it blows itself up and then replaces stuff on the board, which means that people that like blowing their cards up and graveyard setup and whatnot, it's going to cause a lot of changes to the way that the game works. On top of that, with the Boral Fusion, it's basically a one-card Borreload, and that is extremely powerful, because for those of you that are not aware, Borreload is a rank 4 with the ability to take other monsters. And this is where problems start becoming really, really apparent. So being able to steal boss monsters from your opponents. So there's a lot of people who have monsters in their decks nowadays that either are unaffected by card effects or cannot be destroyed by card effects. Well, if I can't target it, big deal, I'll just blow it up with non-targeting removal. Cards that say that they can't be destroyed by card effects, I can steal, and that causes problems. And then there's cards that say they can't be destroyed by battle, and maybe that's your only form of removal. Well, with Borreload, you don't have to worry about that, because then you can just take the monster that can't be destroyed by battle and drop them on your field, and now you not only got their beater, but I've seen so many times where I've played a Borreload Dragon and my opponents just forfeited because I took their boss monster, and it's kind of funny because Rockets are extremely they're not the strongest decks in the world. They're they're probably going to be a mid-tier deck, if anything. So I think once I'm finished with the because there's locals coming up this weekend, I am hoping to actually get rockets and show you guys the build and whatnot, hopefully here soon. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and peace out.